Taiwan. I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's government is rolling out financial incentives to boost tourism starting in the fall. From October, repeat foreign visitors can register online to win about $160 in travel credit, plus $95 for a companion. Groups visiting on company reward trips can also win subsidies for accommodation in select locations outside Taipei. This round of incentives also includes perks for Taiwanese citizens traveling within the country. It's available until the end of March 2027. Taiwan and Lithuania have agreed to jointly provide another round of aid to Ukraine. The agreement was signed on Tuesday by Taiwan's representative office in Vilnius and Lithuania's Central Project Management Agency. Each side will contribute $5 million to support Ukraine's reconstruction and strengthen its social resilience. It's the third joint aid package from the two countries since 2023. Previous projects have helped rebuild schools, fund remedial education, and establish a rehabilitation center offering counseling and job support. More than 1,000 Ukrainian children have benefited from these initiatives. This week marks 1 month since Andy Burnham took office as the UK's new Prime Minister. His foreign policy, including his approach to Taiwan, remains unclear, but some of his advisors have come under scrutiny over their past engagement with China. Our London correspondent Amelia Loy has the story.
Let us make this the moment when Britain starts to believe again. The moment we bring back hope. Thank you very much, everybody.
In the month since Andy Burnham replaced Keir Starmer as the UK's Prime Minister, his main focus has been on the domestic economic challenges and expecting public hope he can solve. On matters further afield, his policy toward Taiwan remains unclear, but that has not come as a surprise to most UK foreign policy watchers.
It's clear that his priorities is trying to improve the economic situation in the UK. And regarding Taiwan, we haven't seen any kind of express of intention when it comes to Taiwan policy, but I don't think it would be too different from what is the Keir Starmer's line on Taiwan, which is they'll try to avoid it. They would not want to provoke China per se. And I think this broadly fits our expectations when we know that Andy Burnham is coming into power.
Burnham's choice of advisors, however, has raised questions over how he may approach relations with China. One of his economic advisors, Jim O'Neill, has long advocated stronger UK-China trade ties. He coined the term "break" in the early 2000s, when he urged the West to engage with a rapidly emerging China. He was also closely involved in shaping the so-called golden era of UK-China relations under the previous Conservative government. O'Neill recently returned to the headlines after reports that he co-founded a new think tank last month with a former senior director at China's state news agency, Xinhua. O'Neill is not the only Burnham advisor facing scrutiny over alleged China links. National Security Advisor Jonathan Powell has also faced questions over his extensive engagement with Chinese officials and China-linked organizations. Last year, UK prosecutors dropped charges against 2 men accused of spying for China. It was suggested that Powell, who was serving as National Security Advisor at the time, played a key role in undermining the prosecution. Although Downing Street denied any involvement in the collapse of the case, it still raised concerns over national security.
These two individuals, they have strong Chinese links, have been exposed to United Front work activities knowingly or unknowingly. They will be more inclined to facilitate agendas that are more in China interests, and that will reduce the friction they encounter in the geopolitical scene.
Burnham himself also promoted stronger economic ties with China in his former role as mayor of Manchester. This has led some observers to expect him to continue his predecessor Keir Starmer's approach of deepening trade ties with China. But one expert we spoke to urged UK policymakers to stand firm on certain principles and push back against Beijing, including issues concerning the Taiwan Strait.
So yes, the UK can and will pursue more trade opportunities with China, But at the same time, upholding the status quo in the Taiwan Strait has to be a top priority, because that is the basis of the UK's economic engagement with the region, and it's also the basis of stability and prosperity globally. So any change to that, as China is trying to do at the moment, should be taken very seriously by the UK government and should be responded to, asserting the UK's interest in the status quo.
There are significant challenges ahead for the new Prime Minister in managing the UK-China relationship, including the controversial Chinese super embassy project in London and Chinese firm Mingyang's blocked plan to build the UK's largest wind turbine factory. Both could be early tests of how Burnham balances his push for economic engagement with China against national security concerns. Amelia Loy in London for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's cabinet has unveiled details about next year's general budget proposal. While it outlines focus areas for its 2027 spending plan, the announcement also came with a personal plea from the premier. Leslie Liao has more.
The cabinet has proposed a general budget for 2027 totaling $123 billion, roughly 30% higher than the proposal for this year. Despite the jump in spending, the government says the budget is balanced and that record government revenue means debt will not increase. The budget focuses on 6 key areas: smart technology, defense, social benefits, soft power, distributed growth, and sustainable development. It includes $21.7 billion for Taiwan's defense ministry, but the country's overall defense spending will reach $35 billion, bringing it in line with the NATO benchmark.
而按照北大西洋公约组织的标准，整体的国防经费是达到1兆1225亿元，占 GDP 的比例逾3%。
The cabinet has also earmarked funds for the public to receive $300 per person to share gains from the country's booming tech sector. But the bill is far from passed.
审查预算应该要合理的审查，也应该要按照宪法的期限来完成这个审查。因为在这次115年度的中央政府总预算中是严重的拖延。
The 2026 budget wasn't approved by Taiwan's opposition-led legislature until last week, making it the longest delay on record. As the premier and cabinet appealed to agencies and lawmakers to overcome political differences, the government now faces the challenge of avoiding similar delays in the next budget cycle. Howard Zhang, Luffy Li, and Leslie Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan continues to ride high on the global AI boom, with export orders hitting a record high of around $98 billion in July. The Economy Ministry announced the figure up about 62% from a year ago. It also marks 18 consecutive months of growth, mainly driven by the tech sector. Traditional sectors such as machine tools and metals also posted growth, recovering from weak performance last year. Taiwan is acting to secure the global semiconductor supply chain by announcing new international standards.
我们数发部跟 SEMI 半导体协会以及台积电我们就一起推动，然后制定了 SEMI E187 这个资安标准就是我们会要求所有的半导体供应链里面所有厂商都必须符合一定的资安标准确定说这个骇客不能透过这个所谓的供应链攻击或者是跳板攻击就是先骇入其中供应中的一环，然后去打进那个台积电或者其他的半导体大厂。
Taiwan developed the cybersecurity standard for chip suppliers. It aims to prevent hackers from planting malware in equipment before it reaches chip makers like TSMC through supply chain partners. Taiwan's Institute for Information Industry is now the world's first lab certified to test for compliance with the standard. Experts say that the Chinese company that's a world leader in robot dogs based its designs on U.S. military technology. Larry Siano has more details.
This may look like something out of a science fiction film, but its potential military uses are real. Chinese companies are among the leading manufacturers of four-legged robots, or robot dogs. But the designs used by Chinese firms like Unitree may not be homegrown. Reuters reports that they're largely derived from the US defense sector, with one expert saying some models have near identical dimensions.
There were papers published, and then these papers were very closely studied by Chinese companies like Unitree, and these principles were put to work and then scaled. That this is technology that at its core was developed at US universities, funded by US taxpayer dollars, and now we're seeing a lot of the Chinese companies really benefiting from it and shipping many more robots than we are in the US.
Unitree is not being accused of stealing technology, but rather taking advantage of public information and moving faster than its US competitors. Unitree says its products are intended for civilian use only, despite their recent appearance alongside troops on Chinese state television. The US has listed the firm as connected to China's military, but has yet to sanction it. Chinese company speed and efficiency in springboarding off US designs while US firms fall behind is a now familiar pattern causing concern across sectors. The trend has raised serious worries about US competitiveness, particularly as some countries look to reduce their reliance on Chinese-made products.
When I look at where the US has fallen behind, I see that loss and hollowing out of the manufacturing sector as being a really big driver of why the kind of corresponding national security applications have fallen behind as well in strategic areas, whether it's for semiconductors, other kind of prior technologies. That growing dependence is a big risk, and at this rate, I think that's the trajectory we're headed in.
Unitree sold more than 18,000 robot dogs last year, while no US firm has managed to successfully mass-produce them. Industry insiders say the US needs to work with its allies to catch up.
There's no way we're going to do this completely on our own as the US. We need to work closely with our allies, companies in Korea and Taiwan and Japan, where they have some of this manufacturing and supply chain expertise. So there's absolutely no path forward without them.
For the moment, Unitree and other Chinese firms appear to be racing ahead as the US lags behind in four-legged robotics. The question now is, in a dog-eat-dog race for sector dominance, can the US learn new tricks? Ryan Wu and Larry Ciano for TaiwanPlus.
Rice farming is a big deal in Japan, but with an aging and shrinking workforce, farmers are turning to robots and other tech to grow their crops more effectively. Aichi reports.
A strange black box glides through rice paddies in the Japanese countryside. It's an AI-powered robot designed to stir up water and soil to prevent weeds from growing. They can even plant their own roots.
The robot autonomously determines how to move, covering the entire rice field over a few days without missing a spot.
That robot helps grow rice for export worldwide, including to Taiwan.
The rice we export to Taiwan is grown using these robots. All I have to do is deploy the robot in the rice paddy, and most of the work is essentially done. It really helps keep costs down too.
These robots can reduce labor costs by around 60% and increase rice yields by 10%. That's critical for an aging and shrinking Japanese population, where the average age for agriculture workers is already 67. Robots aren't the only new tech helping farmers out. Drones can scan rice fields from the air, analyzing which areas are growing well and which need more tending. Tech like this is needed to keep farms going and to attract the next generation of farmers.
We're helping them learn how to be a farmer, teaching them both proper methods and how to use this new equipment. As times change, we want to train up talent that can respond to these changes.
It will take the combined efforts of both fresh blood and new tech to keep Japan's crucial rice farms going, and already, innovations like these are helping to reap a bountiful harvest. Hang Shi and IT for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of a young seal making friends with divers in Russia. I'm Ethan Liu. Take care, and I'll see you next time.